I decided to do the podcast version for my part 3 project. So, originally I had interviewed my brother, who is in his 30s now, and essentially what had happened was in his late teens and early 20s to even mid 20s, I believe, he had multiple experiences of a presence that had basically only show up at nights when he was asleep. So not even during like a nap during the day or even a nap in the afternoon. It would always be at night, like early mornings, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock range. And he had that for the longest time, for years, and um, a lot of it would happen when he ended up moving out of our parents' house, when he moved in with other roommates, when he had his own house. And he would see and he would feel a presence, whether it was over him, whether it was by him, or at the corner. And I remember firsthand experience when this was going on. Again, he's my brother, and so immediately when I had started this project, I knew that it was him who I wanted to interview, because I knew he had a very good storyline for this that had actually happened. And I remember at the time when he was going through these things, and it's crazy because what he had told in their interview was exactly as I remember it from back in the day when he would tell all of us what had happened to him. And his belief was that the reason why these things kept coming to him or popping up to him was because of, the things that he was doing at the time. He wasn't in the best place. He wasn't doing the right things, whether it was drugs or alcohol. He just was not in a good spot in his life. And in his eyes, that's why they targeted him specifically. And so, what really stuck out to me was that what I had mentioned earlier, that this would only happen in the middle of the night, well, early mornings, every single time. And this actually reminds me, regarding our course content, of when we had in week 4 spoken about the two different, well, one of the main core experiences that are one of our readings by the author Hufford had written about, which was the Mara, which again is typically known as a sleep paralysis. And the Mara, according to him, is when one is self-consciously awake yet in a paralyzed state while being in the presence of a supernatural being. And that is probably the closest one that I could find, well, not find, but the closest core concept that we had discussed in our class that relates to what my brother had experienced. And again, in that same class discussion that we had spoken about, another one of the things that we had to look into in the content was regarding a Mara attack by a girl named Denise, and how her culture referred to it as the devil sitting on your chest. And in her case, it was actually a lot worse than what my brother was, because his only happened in the late nights, early mornings of the night. Again, no daytime naps, none of that. But in Denise's experience, as she got older, it kept getting worse, and it got to the point that she actually ended up refusing to even take a nap, despite the time of day and despite of how tired and sleepy she would be. and would end up actually drinking many energy drinks in order to keep herself awake because of how bad these experiences were for her. And it's crazy because according to her, she did describe it as like a Freddy Krueger moment, in which in that movie, Freddy Krueger would only attack you the minute you would go to sleep, or he would come looking for you whenever you would be asleep. And it all makes sense because she would be so scared and would avoid sleep in general. And that's kind of like what it reminds me of my brother's case. Obviously not to that intensity, not that extreme, but he would experience these attacks or like these presences at night, and it would essentially wake him up. But anyways, I had, again, like mentioning, when I was given this project, I immediately knew who I wanted to interview because I knew my brother had a perfect example, and not a good experience, because obviously like what he went through was not good at all, but that is why I decided to choose him. And his story and what he had been through is very interesting, and me personally, I have never gone through anything like that. But again, like I know others who have, but my brother is probably one of the ones who has had the most experiences for years, actually. But yeah, that is the end of my recap and my part 3 of my project. Thank you so much.